How this canine police dog stopped the mall bloodbath will shock you. When criminals take over the city mall, Detective Adam and his canine police dog, Blaze, are thrust into a deadly standoff. As a bomb countdown ticks down and hostages are scattered, Blaze must navigate dark corridors, avoid traps, and stop a powerful crime syndicate from exposing its secrets. With danger lurking at every turn, Blaze's loyalty and bravery will be tested in ways no one could imagine. As time runs out, Adam and Blaze must outsmart the criminals or risk a catastrophic explosion. Will they save the mall, or will it all be too late? Grand Mall is the busiest place in the city, always filled with people rushing to finish their shopping, grab a bite to eat, or catch a movie. It was just another ordinary day when suddenly everything changed at exactly 2:15 p.m. The sound of shuffling feet and hurried whispers filled the air. Then, a loud crash echoed from the entrance. The heavy glass doors flew open, and a group of masked men stormed in, all dressed in black, their weapons raised. The chaos was instant. Shoppers screamed, dropping their bags and rushing to the exits. But it was too late. The robbers had already sealed the doors. One man held up a device and disabled the mall's security cameras, while another shouted orders to the crowd. The hostages were lined up against the walls, eyes wide with terror. "We want the police to stay back," the leader shouted, his voice deep and commanding. "No one moves. No one speaks. If you cooperate, you won't get hurt." Outside, the first police units arrived, led by Detective Ryan Adam, the head of the canine unit. He had been in dangerous situations before, but he had never seen anything like this. He could feel the tension in the air. Something didn't add up. The robbers had no obvious motive, there was no attempt to grab the mall's money, and no one seemed interested in stealing jewelry or electronics. Adam signaled to his partner, Blaze, a trained German shepherd who was always by his side in situations like this. Blaze's nose was a weapon of its own, capable of detecting scents that humans couldn't even dream of. The robbers seemed to be waiting for something, and Adam knew that meant time was running out. "We're not dealing with a regular robbery," Adam muttered under his breath. "These guys are prepared for something bigger." He could hear the sound of helicopters above and the hum of squad cars lining the streets, but inside the mall, the atmosphere was still. Too still. Then, the silence was shattered by a single, loud gunshot that rang out from inside the mall. One of the hostages had been executed. The sound of the gunshot echoed through the mall, sending a ripple of fear across the crowd. This was no longer just about money, it was a warning. "Stay calm," Adam instructed his team over the radio. His eyes narrowed as he surveyed the mall's entrances. "We can't rush in, not without putting lives at risk." The robbers weren't interested in a simple escape. They were playing a different game, and Adam was certain it had something to do with the hostages scattered across the building. The more he thought about it, the more he realized just how carefully planned this whole thing was. "Blaze, you're up," Adam said, glancing down at his dog. Blaze was already in position, waiting for his handler's command. Adam checked the mall's blueprint, memorizing every hallway and hidden access point. There was an emergency ventilation system running through the mall, and the robbers hadn't noticed it. It was Adam's best chance to get Blaze inside without being spotted. "Stay close," he murmured to Blaze, watching as his dog slipped into the narrow vent entrance. The small opening was barely big enough for the dog, but Blaze was agile and knew exactly what to do. Adam listened to the static in his earpiece, guiding Blaze through the maze of maintenance corridors. The dog's senses were on full alert. He sniffed the air, picking up a mix of fear, sweat, and adrenaline. The hostages were near, but they weren't grouped together. "Why?" A loud thud echoed through the vent system as a hostage tried to make a break for it, pushing through a stack of crates in a frantic attempt to escape. There was the sound of a gunshot, and then the silence returned. Blaze paused, but Adam was already instructing him to keep moving. The scent trail was fresh, leading deeper into the mall. As they moved cautiously through the narrow tunnels, Adam was aware of the danger. The robbers had set up booby traps in the hallways, and every step Blaze took had to be calculated. They moved deeper into the heart of the mall, past maintenance rooms and dark storage closets. Adam kept his breath steady, listening for any signs of danger. He could hear a faint noise from above. A robber was pacing just above their heads, unaware of the dog below. Blaze stopped suddenly, his nose twitching. He had picked up the scent of something unfamiliar, something far too close for comfort. Adam froze, holding his breath. A figure passed by the vent, only a few feet away. The robber didn't see them, and Blaze didn't make a sound. Adam waited for the moment to pass before guiding Blaze forward again. The next step would be critical. In the silence, only the sound of the dog's soft breathing filled the air as they ventured deeper into the maze. Adam knew that time was running out. With every minute that passed, the danger grew. Blaze's ears flicked up as the faintest sound reached his sensitive nose, a hint of danger in the air. Adam, crouched just beyond the ventilation shaft, was already guiding him, tracking the scent of explosives that was becoming stronger. The dog's paws barely made a sound as they navigated deeper into the mall's complex network of maintenance corridors. The more Blaze moved through the narrow paths, the more Adam realized just how much the robbers had planned. They weren't after cash. There was something else at play, something much bigger. Adam checked his watch. Time was slipping away, but every minute he waited could cost someone's life. Suddenly, Blaze stopped, his nose twitching as he picked up something new. He turned his head toward a narrow hallway to the right, just a few steps ahead. Adam tapped his earpiece, silently instructing his team to hold back. One wrong move and they would be walking into a trap. Adam wasn't about to make a mistake now. Blaze continued, slowly and silently, until he reached a small security door. The scent of explosives grew stronger, and Adam felt a cold pressure in his chest. It wasn't just a bomb. It was a bomb with enough power to bring the whole building down. A chill ran through him. He had no time to waste. As Blaze sniffed around the room, his eyes stayed locked on Adam, a silent plea in his movements. They needed to move fast. Adam's thoughts were interrupted by the sound of a door opening from the other side of the mall. A loud voice echoed down the hall. "Get back to your posts. We need to make sure nothing goes wrong." The robbers were becoming more anxious. A gunshot rang out in the distance. A hostage had been executed. Adam cursed under his breath. It was clear the robbers were running out of patience. The tension in the air was suffocating, and Adam knew he had to act now or risk losing more lives. As Blaze continued to work his way through the dark corridors, Adam made his way toward the mall's security room. He had to know what the robbers were really after. His heart skipped a beat as he saw the security monitors. There, in plain view, was a briefcase placed in the middle of the room. He zoomed in on the screen. The case was surrounded by armed guards. But it wasn't just any briefcase, it was heavily guarded. Adam could see the sharp eyes of the robbers as they glanced nervously at the clock. "They're waiting for something," Adam muttered under his breath. "But what?" He checked his phone for any updates from his team. Nothing yet. The minutes were ticking by, and Adam felt the pressure building. There was no doubt now. This was no ordinary robbery. Someone wanted something hidden inside the mall, and the hostages were just pawns in a twisted game. Suddenly, a soft sound broke through the tension. A small voice. Adam froze. From the shadows emerged a child, no older than 10. The child looked up at Blaze, eyes wide with fear, but the dog sat still, offering only calm reassurance. The child was alone. Where were the others? They should have been together in one location. Adam knelt down carefully, signaling Blaze to stay back. "It's okay," he whispered, though his voice was barely audible. He didn't want to alarm the child. The small figure in front of him had been hiding in the dark, waiting for the chaos to end. The child's voice cracked. "They're looking for something." "Not money," the child said in a low voice. Adam's heart skipped a beat. That was it. This wasn't a typical robbery. The pieces were falling into place. The heist had been a distraction. Whatever the robbers were after was hidden inside the mall, and they weren't going to leave without it. Blaze led the way again, his tail steady and his body relaxed, but Adam knew better than to think this would be easy. He'd been in tight situations before, but this was different. The stakes were much higher now. They passed through a series of hallways until Blaze suddenly stopped at a door marked "Restricted." Adam glanced at the sign. This was a part of the mall that even most employees couldn't access. The door was locked, but it didn't seem like much of a challenge for Blaze. The dog sniffed at the edges and sat down, signaling that something was inside. Adam fumbled with his phone, sending a quick text to his team: "Prepare for breach, explosives still active. Watch for Logan Pierce." Blaze's nose twitched again, his body stiffening. Adam looked up, his eyes catching a faint movement in the shadows. One of the robbers was approaching. He was tall and moved with purpose, scanning the area as if he knew something was off. At that exact moment, a gunshot rang out, and a hostage screamed. The robber's steps quickened as the tension in the air thickened. The hostages were no longer the main concern. The robbers were growing more desperate, and they were willing to kill anyone who stood in their way. Adam's mind raced. He had to make a choice. Blaze, though calm, was now tasked with locating the bombs, and Adam couldn't afford to waste time. Adam turned toward the hallway, taking a deep breath. He had a plan, but it was risky. He had to find Logan Pierce. If anyone knew what was going on, it was him. But before Adam could make a move, Blaze stiffened again, his body low to the ground. Adam could feel the change in the air. A new threat was approaching. And it wasn't human. It was a guard dog trained for attack, and the ferocity in its movements was undeniable. Blaze leapt just in time, barely avoiding the snapping jaws as they aimed for his throat. The dog circled, growling low, its claws scraping against the floor. With lightning-fast reflexes, Blaze darted back and sprang forward, sinking his teeth into the attacked dog's side. The fight was brutal, but silent, their bodies twisting and turning in a desperate struggle for dominance. Blaze's agility gave him an edge, but the guard dog's sheer size made it a deadly opponent. Meanwhile, Adam was in another part of the mall, grappling with one of the robbers. His gun was trained on the man's chest, but the robber smirked back at him. "You're too late," Logan Pierce sneered, his voice cold and taunting. His calm conduct stood in stark contrast to the chaos unfolding around them. Adam narrowed his eyes, keeping his gun steady. "What do you mean?" "Your team has no idea what they're really dealing with," Logan said, his tone dripping with contempt. "These aren't thieves, detective. They're mercenaries. And that vault?" He pointed toward the distance, where the security room's vault was located. "It holds evidence that could take down a powerful crime syndicate. You'll never stop us in time." Adam's mind spun as the pieces fell into place. This was no ordinary robbery. It was a carefully orchestrated mission to retrieve crucial evidence, not money. The hostages were simply distractions to keep everyone occupied while the real plan unfolded. Suddenly, a loud sound broke through the tension. A sharp crack from across the room. A sniper, hidden somewhere above, had spotted Adam. His weapon was aimed directly at the detective, and before Adam could react, the sniper's finger began to squeeze the trigger. But just as the shot rang out, Blaze, battered but alive, lunged from the shadows. His jaws clamped down on the sniper's arm, pulling him off balance and causing the gun to miss. The sniper fought back, but Blaze's bite was locked in, forcing the man to the ground. The fight was over in a flash. Blaze had taken the sniper down in one precise move. Adam barely had time to process the victory before the leader of the robbers, realizing his plan was slipping through his fingers, turned toward the detonator. His hand moved quickly, pressing a button on the device. "Dead man switch," he hissed. "We're done here. All of you will burn." Adam's stomach sank. If the leader activated the detonator, the mall would be destroyed in minutes. Without hesitation, he signaled to Blaze to follow him. "Blaze, stay close," Adam yapped, his voice low. The two of them moved as one, silent but swift, racing toward the leader and the ticking time bomb. The leader didn't run. He knew better than to flee now. Instead, he sprinted toward the main concourse, thinking that with the detonator in his hand, nothing could stop him. Adam chased him, refusing to let up. Blaze was right behind, the sound of his paws thundering through the hall. The leader reached a narrow hallway, and Adam's voice rang out, sharp and demanding. "You don't get away." Without warning, the leader turned, smashing Adam against a nearby railing with a brutal blow. Adam gasped for air as his head slammed into the steel. The pain was sharp, but he gritted his teeth, forcing himself to stand. The leader's fist was coming down again, aiming for Adam's head, but before it could land, Blaze leapt from the shadows. In an instant, the German Shepherd locked onto the leader's arm with a crushing grip, making him drop the detonator. Blaze didn't let go, his powerful jaws keeping the leader in place as Adam staggered to his feet. The leader struggled against Blaze's hold, but the dog was relentless, refusing to let him move. Adam grabbed the detonator from the ground, glancing at the timer. It was ticking down, only seconds remaining. With a deep breath, Adam worked quickly, his fingers flying over the device's buttons. The seconds felt like hours. The pressure was unbearable. Come on," Adam muttered under his breath as the countdown neared 0. With a final, steady press of the button, the display went blank. The bombs were deactivated. At that moment, the sound of SWAT officers flooding into the mall echoed through the halls. They rushed toward the leader, securing him in an instant. The other robbers, realizing their plan had failed, were quickly overwhelmed and taken into custody. The hostages, once bound and terrified, were freed from their captors, and the police began clearing the area. Blaze stood by Adam, his fur matted with blood from the earlier fight, but his eyes remained sharp and alert. The pair had been through hell and come out on top. Adam placed a hand on Blaze's head, looking down at his loyal companion. "You did good, boy."